Greetings, viewers and listeners. Meet Hook Jim here, the Wrestle Horror Podcast. With me, as always, my co-host Donnie Hoover. Donnie, it is the middle of July. It's kind of hot out there. What's going on?
Kind of hot. It's damn hot. Humidity's up. It's burning me up. I don't get air conditioning where I'm at.
Well, you better find a way to get it.
Only way I can get is when I get home.
Buy ice and coolers.
All right.
Anyway, joining us on this episode from the Ohio Pro Wrestling Academy, James the Stretcher Avery and Tommy Chill. Gentlemen, how are you this evening?
Hi, thank you for having us.
Hey, doing pretty well. How about yourself?
Great. Let's talk about the exciting news that's going on with the Now Training Center and the Ohio Pro Wrestling Academy.
Yeah, we'll get into it and stuff. Like I said, for people, just a background on people that don't know, Chad and James have been in wrestling for many years.
Who?
Chad.
Who's that?
He's Chad today. But Chad and
we're giving each other fake names today, I guess.
But they've been in the wrestling business many years, like I have as well. We're all from the Ohio area, so we all have known each other for a long time. And we both took different paths in wrestling. And I stepped away for a while, and Tommy kept going. Tommy kept going, and then James started, and then so here we are all back together talking. And James and Tommy and Cyrus has started a pro wrestling school many years ago, and so far it's been very successful. And we just want to find out a little bit about the Ohio Pro Wrestling Academy and its history and background before we go on with the news and everything.
Of course. I've been in the professional wrestling business for 21 years now. I started very close to my 18th birthday in the year 2000. And it's crazy that I have students that weren't even alive when I started pro wrestling. I really feel old. I have one student in particular who doesn't even know who Scott Steiner is, just because he's so young. And I'm wearing my Steiner promo shirt, if anybody interested, the greatest promo in the history of wrestling. I started about 21 years ago, the year 2000. I started where all of us started, at the IWA School of Wrestling, a dingy office building in 1333 Worst Filth Avenue in Grandview. And I kind of got a taste for it, and I knew I wanted to take wrestling a little bit more seriously. So shortly after that, I went down to Florida, Ocala, Florida, was trained with Dory Funk Jr. And then from that point on, I just kind of went on the road, and I really just kind of learned everything the hard way. Unfortunately, I really never had that mentor figure. Tommy Chill was at the school, but in reality, with all due respect, he only had 2-3 years on him at the time. He was learning just as well. So I never really had that mentor figure. I really just kind of had to go on my own and figure things out. Unfortunately, most of the time the hard way. But if anything, I'm persistent. So I just kind of stuck with it. I'd like to think I found a little bit of success. I got to do what I loved for a long time. I got to travel the country. I met a lot of friends. I met a lot of acquaintances. I met my wife through professional wrestling. And then roughly about 8 years ago, I hurt my back. Oddly enough, not in a wrestling ring. I think it was like getting out of an office chair. And then obviously just kind of the bumps and bruises that, one of those things they don't tell you when you start wrestling. Like it's not the one bump that does it. It's the hundreds and thousands of bumps and sitting in the car for hours and hours at a time that does it. So I just really kind of hurt myself, and I was just being sad and depressed and emo, and I was complaining to my wife, what if I could take the knowledge that I have now and put it in my body, at 18? What if I had all this knowledge now? And, what if I had it back then? Then, I would have been unstoppable. And the wife was like, why don't you do that? And of course I said, well, you're crazy. That's I'm taking you to an asylum. And she's like, no, just like, we can do that. She kind of knows I always wanted to start a wrestling school. And the only reason why I was hesitant was because I was kind of always under the feeling that I would have to make it. I never had like a run in WWE or anything like that. I mean, I'd like to think I've earned respect within the local wrestling community, but, I've never, quote, made it. But really, I just kind of had to get over that fear. So I wasn't in the best place financially at the time, but I scrounged up $400 to kind of rent a location. I got a loan from my parents to buy a wrestling ring. And I started at the time, the Central Ohio Pro Wrestling Academy. The timing was kind of perfect. The big trainer at the time was Jeff Cannon. He stopped. So there was a big gap in training in the local wrestling community. And a lot of people ask me, just because my wrestling style has always been fundamentals first, so to speak, everybody just kind of always asks me, hey, where do I go to get trained? And I don't know. So I just kind of opened up my wrestling school, and I kind of hit the ground running. My first ever student, the Pinnacle, Levi Connors, unfortunately he doesn't wrestle anymore, but he showed up. He had enough confidence in me to train him. He paid his full contract right away, so immediately I was in the black. Just from that one student, that paid my operating expenses for 6 months alone. And then from there, we just kind of built. It was originally created out of love. I love training. I love mentoring people. Again, I never really had that mentor figure. It's just something that I do out of passion. I have no trouble saying it's a passion project. And I was just kind of really fortunate that I happened to make a little bit of money from it. And then Cyrus and Tommy Chill came along only because I was the one in the ring. But, when I'm performing the techniques, I can't really see if they're good, they're bad. So really kind of almost by accident, Cyrus and Tommy Chill, I've been friends for a long time. I kind of asked them just to kind of help out, be my eyes outside the ring. And then they just kept coming. They just kept coming. They just kept coming. And then, it just kind of morphed into kind of what we had for a long time. And the school's been running for about 8 years now.
Yeah, we're up to, I think, 8.5 years now.
8.5 years.
Yeah, I
I feel so old. I mean, it's, it's been successful. Like, we've been doing something right, but man, 8.5 years, like I just, 21 years wrestling, I just feel so old.
The school's in 3rd grade now.
Oh, shut up.
Hey, we always say the school's like elementary school, right?
Right.
Okay, I'll make it feel a little bit better, James. When you started wrestling, I was already 35 years old.
Well, my story's kind of similar to James. I mean, except for it's, a couple years longer. I'm coming up on about 23 years in professional wrestling.
Look at me, 23 years.
Ooh, I'm better than you. I got more time. But yeah, kind of like you said, he started a year and a half to 2 years after I did at that time. So I was still learning, and I got basically the same trash training that he got from the IWA school, where it was kind of like whoever was there just kind of like helped people. There was no like kind of official training curriculum or anything like that. So you kind of figured out how to bump, and then you just kind of like dudes just kind of showed you stuff as you went.
Just get in there and mix it up.
Right. Yeah. Like whoever was there at the time, whether, Casanova Click or Big Country or Hustler, those guys that had been around for, maybe a couple years before I did, to show us stuff. So I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning too. I did some continuing education, like I like to refer to as back when, seminars were I think a little more beneficial with people like Tracy Smothers, Al Snow, guys like that. So that helped me out a lot, but I still made a ton of mistakes because I too didn't have any kind of like real mentor. It was a bunch of guys that were on essentially the same level or maybe just a little bit behind you. that I was mostly traveling with when I was on the road. So kind of like James, I made just about every mistake you possibly could because nobody really taught me otherwise. Um, it's been a great ride though. And once I started like figuring things out, like I really started having a lot of fun. And while I've never gotten that big national TV run like I would have really liked, um, I still find professional wrestling to have been extremely beneficial to my life. Not only have I had great times, made great friends, it's given me experiences that I would have had otherwise. I've seen parts of the country I probably would have never ever seen otherwise. So I find wrestling to have been great despite the challenges that came along with it, especially in the beginning, and now the challenges with my body breaking down on me. Um, kind of like James, I'd have back problems too. I actually had back surgery in 2018, end of 2018, November 2018. So I'm coming up on almost 3 years since my back surgery, and I just now I'm starting to feel like a human being again. So it took a while for it to really start to feel good. I don't know if that's the back surgery is finally working or it was I didn't wrestle for over a year because of COVID. Could be a
Probably a little of
combination of the
both.
two. Yeah,
Yeah.
A
maybe a
little column
combination
A, a
of the
little
two.
column B. Yeah.
But it's making me feel more feel a little more spry again and wanting to do more than what I was prior to COVID. Um, so I've been getting in the ring more often, especially even at training because for a long time I mostly was on the outside with Cyrus, but here lately I've been trying to get in the ring more often and do things since I'm feeling better. And when I saw what James was doing at the then Central Ohio Pro Wrestling Academy, I thought it was a really good thing because I saw that gap in training, not just with Jeff Cannon leaving training, but with the independent wrestling scene in general, because there was just a ton of young guys out there that didn't know what they were doing and were falling and got into the same traps that we did, at the time, 15 years ago or whatever. So I saw a chance to, we've all, what we like to say, or what James says a lot, is that I don't know everything, but I've made every mistake possible, so we can figure it out.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like I really liked that we were pointing people in the right direction, and I thought kind of part of what the legacy that we could leave on professional wrestling is trying to leave it better than what it was when we got into it, and by putting talented professional wrestlers out there that actually know what they're doing and have their etiquette in line, really would be beneficial to the independent wrestling scene, not only just in Ohio, but all across the Midwest, as our guys have gotten more experience and started to travel more.
To add on what you said, not only was there a lack of good training, there was a number of people that, in my opinion, should not be training. So not only was there a lack of positive influences, there were outright negative influences out there. So the timing was kind of perfect. And like Tommy Chill said, again, I'll be the first person to claim I don't know everything, but let us make those mistakes for you so you don't have to. But these kids, they got to touch the stove anyway.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I think we all did that though, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's the Crosshairs Kelly's actually the one that told us that. He's like, it's the parent syndrome. Even though we tell them the right thing to do and what not to do, they still have to touch the hot stove and see, is it really hot? I told you it was hot. You just burned yourself.
Right.
Crosshairs would come back on Sunday for trains like, you guys were right the whole time. I
touched the stove.
Yeah.
I touched the stove and it was hot. You guys are right.
Nice.
That is a great metaphor.
Yep, absolutely. And your guys' third partner, Cyrus, he's basically almost has an identical story as Tommy, that you guys kind of started near the same time with each other. If I remember right, it wasn't too much far apart.
Yeah, he started just a few months before I did, so we were basically starting at the same time. I think he started a little bit earlier in the year than I did, but then he had to stop and came back. So like our time was probably exactly the same, but he was a few months ahead of me.
Right. Yeah. So,
even though we started together, it's not like we've all been joined at the hip for the past 20 years. We've all kind of gone on and done our own thing. But, even though our paths kind of separated wrestling wise, in our personal lives, we've always remained good friends. So, kind of coming together with the wrestling school just kind of seemed, pretty natural.
Mhm.
So let's talk about some of your students or your former students. They're wrestling all over Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky now. I see it.
All over the world,
Yeah.
all over the world, all over
Yeah.
the country. And I'd like to just correct you on one thing. We don't have any former students. You don't know everything. No one knows everything. I don't know everything. If you get the go ahead from us, you're one of us. We don't have former alum or everything. That's kind of part what separates us is our support system after the fact. A lot of wrestling schools just, all right, you're trained, there you go, and then just kind of push them out the nest. I think one thing that separates us a lot is we're essentially a lifetime membership. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Just one of those.
Being corrected. I appreciate
Yes.
The only delineation you could probably do is graduates and students. Because graduates are people that are already on the road. Students are people that are not on the road. But I mean, like James said, it's a lifetime membership once you sign up with us. Like we still have guys that have been been on the road for over 6 years that come back to training and to learn things and talk to us and figure things out
and give back.
Yeah, and give back to the current students.
Mm-hmm.
And I admire you guys for that, and the fact that you've got all these people out here, and you are a staunch defender of your beliefs, which, like I said, the way you put it makes much more sense, James, than a former student, and I admire that.
My beliefs, you may sound like we're like a religious cult or something like that. Nope, not a cult, although we have been referred to as a motorcycle gang by some people. Nope, just a school.
Yeah, our students have been all over the place. They've been as far east as Japan and as far west as North Dakota. Actually, I take that back. California.
Yeah,
we did have some people.
California.
Yeah, we did have some people work in California. So as far west as California, far east is Japan.
Nice.
That's got to make you guys feel great. I mean, having them all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When we see them succeeding, we're succeeding.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I have no problem saying I live vicariously through my students.
Mm-hmm.
If I had kids, I'd be one of those jerks with the bumper stickers, like my kid is better than your kid at baseball and stuff. I have no problem saying I live vicariously through my students. At the end of the day, they're my legacy. I've been doing this for 21 years. I still wrestle. I have a show later this month. But at the end of the day, I wrestle for me. I've done what I'm going to do in wrestling. Ultimately, these students are my legacy. These students are, what we're contributing. So, of course, we want our students to be as successful as possible. That's the thing with mentoring and wrestling. Professional wrestling is an extremely selfish business. The reality is, they want people to be successful up to a point. Everybody will lend you a hand, but no one's going to push you up past them. Where I'm the first one to say, no, I want all my students to be better than me. I want them to get farther than me. That's why I like to say, like, our school is essentially the elementary school. Our goal is to get you out on the road as soon as possible. So that, the end goal is I want everybody to be better than I am.
Very cool. Hey, I want to touch on what you said about the motorcycle gang thing, because it's interesting to talk about it, and I'd like to get it out there from your guys' point of view. And because people have referred to the OPWA got people as motorcycle gang and stuff like that, and we all think it's kind of funny, but it's not really so much that. It's just the family atmosphere, like you said. It's a lifetime membership. Everybody supports each other. You guys have your own Facebook group, private Facebook group, where you guys post stuff about, hey, I got this show, who wants to jump in the car for a ride. Basically it's like a group, it's a company working together, everybody working together, trying to push each other up and take care of each other. So I mean, I wouldn't say it's more or less motorcycle gangs ish, as opposed to, if you guys are like, everybody that's a member of the camp is protective of their own. So I mean, how would you guys?
No, I like motorcycle gang. We're like no.
Yeah, I like
And
that.
if you leave, we'll hunt you down and end you. Yeah.
You don't get to leave. You don't get to leave voluntarily.
Yeah. No. We're in fact our shirts are actually a motorcycle logo. I even got my latest gear has a motorcycle logo. I don't have it handy, but it's a motorcycle logo with a skull and it says Ohio Pro Wrestling Academy on it. So
When we heard about the motorcycle gang reference, Cyrus Poe, he does some graphic design work, and he came up with a logo for us that's like a motorcycle gang, like the kind of a takeoff of the Sons of Anarchy thing.
Nice.
And I don't care if it was meant in a positive or negative way. Here's the reality. I've been doing this for 21 years. I'm coming up on my 39th birthday. The reality is I am way past caring what people think about me. There was a time in my life where, no, I need to get bookings. I need everybody to care. I need everybody to like me. I can't speak for Tommy Chill, but me personally, I'm way past the point of people liking me or not. If you like me, cool. If not, hey, but I like the motorcycle thing. Again, we're loyal. I'm hesitant to use the word family, especially with all these Vin Diesel memes running around. Like, it's the one meme that I'm kind of sick of now with the whole family thing. But I am very protective of our students, just because professional wrestling is very cutthroat, very selfish business, and a lot of guys coming in don't have a lot of what I would call real life experience. They haven't kind of realized that, for lack of a better word, everybody's out to get them. So I do get a little defensive over them. I mean, at the end of the day, they're grown adults and, are absolutely capable of standing up for themselves. But they all know at the end of the day, we got their back, whether it's something wrestling related, whether it's, something personal going on in their lives and they just need advice or just a vent. They know we're here for them.
Yeah, there's one incident I think of specifically, like it kind of lends itself to the motorcycle gang references. We have a guy graduated from the school. He's a referee named Tim, and he's a smaller dude, like he's not real big, and he stutters a little bit, so people sometimes make fun of him. And we heard once he was at a show refereeing, and people were being very mean to him. And I don't mean mean in a way that's like good-natured wrestling ribbing, like having some fun with people. I mean like they're just being mean to him for the sake of being mean to him. And we had a car loaded up ready to drive to the show and fuck some shit up on his behalf before we got called off at the last minute.
Just protecting the Cubs, huh?
Exactly. I mean, it's like I said, we'll bust on each other, as all the time, but that's just between us. Like that doesn't count for people outside of the group. If you mess with one of ours,
I always like to, we always like to tell our students, we can tell you you're garbage. No one outside of here can tell you you're garbage, but we'll tell you you're garbage all day, though.
I think one of the benefits for us too is like with working with our students is that like James said, and I agree, like I'm beyond the point of people really caring, or if I have heat. So we'll tell, all three of us will tell the students, like if something goes wrong or something gets miscommunicated or whatever happens, you can point the heat on us. Like you can tell them we told you to do it, even if we didn't tell you to do it. And we'll take the heat because we don't care, because we're not really trying to get booked every weekend like they are. Right. So we'll take the heat. So, but just tell us, just let us know, give us a heads up. So if somebody contacts us, we know what's going on. So we don't go, huh? What are you talking about?
What? You son of a bitch. We're like, yeah.
Right.
So do you think that's happened out there? Do you think you guys have had stuff said about you and stories come up about you that you guys really in reality had no involvement in?
Probably.
Sure.
Probably.
Again, sure. Probably. I don't care. Honestly, don't think about it either way. Yeah. A long time ago, I may have thought about it and worried about it, but again, I'm almost 40. We're kind of past that point. Just at the end of the day, students are priority. So as long as they're taken care of, I'll be the bad guy all day long.
Right. Now, you made reference about like busting balls and ribbon and all that. And do you guys, like I said, I've heard stories of you guys being real brutal in some of your trainings, as in being mean to people. And I've seen some to where I'm like, well, it's really not that bad. So I know you guys do push your students, and that's the way trainers should be. They should yell at them when they screw up. They should push them. They should try to make them the best they can be. So how aggressive do you like to get? I mean, I know you guys don't try to hurt anybody.
I don't agree with that. Trainers should yell at their students. I don't agree with that. The reality is there is no secret training technique. Different people are motivated by different things. The one thing that I don't believe in is the old school mentality of trying to make people quit by doing cardio to death or by roughing them up
Chops
in the ring.
corner.
I don't agree with that. I'm 100% against that. If somebody, this isn't, mixed martial arts, if somebody is giving you their body and then you're taking advantage of that, you're the jerk. That doesn't make you a tough guy. That type of old school stuff has no place in professional wrestling. I don't agree. Back in the day, we'd put a guy in the corner and chop him until he bleeds and all that. Not me personally, but I mean, that was kind of like common thing. Or, you'd stretch him out or whatever. I don't agree with that at all. Sometimes do students need corrected? Absolutely. And it's true, sometimes, you yell at them once or twice and they're just not getting it. Sometimes you need to put your hands on them, but never to hurt them. It's a coaching opportunity. But like I was getting at, my philosophy on training is there is no secret training method that works for everybody. The reality is people come from different backgrounds. Everybody has different motivators. The one thing that would motivate person A would just totally demoralize person B. Some people do need that positive push. Some people crumple on negative reinforcement. It's really just kind of finding out what everybody's motivators are and going from there. I don't yell just for the sake of yelling. If something needs to come across or if the point needs to be made, I'd like to think at this point I've earned everybody's respect where, I can, speak calm and slow and everybody pays attention to what I say. Again, I'm not shying away from the tough love. But I only do it when it's necessary. Even though with some people, I may, have the reputation of being a hard ass. I think I'm kind of the furthest from it. It's just a matter of, finding out what motivates people and being as efficient as possible, because the reality is, wrestling training isn't full time. I don't have these guys for 40 hours a week. Typically we have them for 6 to 8 hours a week. So I have to be as efficient with my time as possible. I don't have time to sit there and do blow up drills for 2 hours. Now, Tommy Chill and Cyrus, on the other hand, they can be bad cops, but
yeah, we have different levels. We have bad cop, worst cop, and worst cop. But I mean, we definitely do get our stern most of the time, like because we just want to, like you said, we have a finite amount of time, so we don't want to like have people screwing around. And I think we end up raising our voices when people do things that the common things that make us frustrated. So things like not listening. So like if we're showing a technique to 1 or 2 people in the middle of the ring, and there's 6 or 7 students around the ring watching, and then they're not paying attention to what we're teaching in the ring. So then when they get in, we have to teach it all over again. Then we end up teaching the same damn thing, 4 or 5 times, which then wastes a whole bunch of time. So, I mean, that kind of stuff will frustrate us really fast. We're not going to kick the shit out of them for it, but we're probably going to raise our voices and get frustrated.
Yep. So you got anything you want to ask, Jim? I kind of like took over there for a little bit.
You're fine. I've watched your family, and I'm going to say your family and not anything else. I watched them from Hamilton to Akron and back and forth. And from what I've seen, James, Tommy, you guys have put out some serious quality product. There's a lot of great talent out there that has your fingerprints on them.
We appreciate it. I wish I could say it was all us. Ultimately, it's the guys and girls. They're the ones putting in the work. We're just showing them the doors. At the end of the day, they're the ones walking through it. Really, I mean, I don't think we're doing anything extremely different than a lot of other, big league or, successful schools are. I just think at the end of the day, it sounds corny and lovey-dovey, but we care. We want them to be successful at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that's really the secret sauce, is that we care, and we show that we do, in the way that we do things. We're not just, we say that we're not really just wrestling trainers. Like, we're kind of life coaches. Like, we will help our students out with anything they need help with personally. Like, I do a lot of, like, I help people with writing letters and things like that, because like Queen Aminata, English is her fourth language. So like when she's writing emails to the WWE or AEW or really anybody, she'll run it through me, to make sure her grammar's okay and she's not messing things up and it looks okay. I know James is, he has a background, he did collections for a lot of years, so he's helped people out with, that have had collection accounts and things like that. Cyrus does graphic design work and helps with other things for people. So we kind of like a full service kind of school. Like, we tell people, like, if you have a problem, just message one of us or message all of us and talk to us about it. We'll do whatever we can to help you out, whether it's wrestling related or not, because we want them to be the best people they can be, because that'll carry over into wrestling. Because if your personal life isn't together, you're not going to be successful in wrestling. That's one of the things that will mess you up the quickest, is if you don't have your personal life together, because professional wrestling requires a whole bunch of time. So if your personal life is not in line, then you're not going to be able to devote the time it needs to be successful.
Yeah, pro wrestling is not a substitute for real life.
Mm-mm.
Did 2020 take its toll on your fitness? Well, body slam the pandemic and get back in shape with WrestleFit. This innovative program combines all the fitness regimens you'll need to reach your goals. The WrestleFit workout will bring strength training, cardio, and the world of professional wrestling together in a fun, new, and exciting way. Have yourself a blast working out with dumbbells, kettlebells, slam balls, ropes, tires, and an 18-foot full-size wrestling ring. The WrestleFit workout isn't just for pro wrestlers. The WrestleFit workout is for everybody. At the Now Training Center, you can pursue your fitness goals and learn how to train like a professional wrestler without all the bumps, bruises, and slams with the WrestleFit workout. Go to www.newohiowrestling.com/training for more information, or stop by the Now Training Center at 625 Eastgate Parkway, Blacklick, Ohio, 43004, Unit 6137.
Yeah,
You
mentioning
gotta have, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I just say mentioning Queen Aminata, when I heard the story about when she just had her recent AEW dark matches, and she was literally texting you guys just minutes and hours before her match, like asking advice on what she should do and all this and that. And I thought that was a really cool story. She's getting her moment, and she's like, I got to check with my trainers.
Yeah, she was.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I think she was messaging us like literally minutes before she walked out the curtain.
Oh yeah. No, we tend to put her on a pedestal, at least with our students. We like to constantly remind her she's our favorite. And I'm saying it on a recording, so now it's official.
She loves it when we say that too.
Oh yeah. I'm not speaking out of turn when I say she was not good when she came in. She was a completely different person, very shy, very timid, no confidence, no coordination, just almost to the point where, like, I think we was legitimately a week away or a week or two away from pulling her aside and going, look, is pro wrestling really for you? And then it just she just flipped the switch, and she's kind of became the person that she is today. And I appreciate that, because at the end of the day, it kind of shows that our system works. There are some people who, like a Levi Connors, Flex Jordan was one of them, a Luis Casanova, guys who, no matter what school they went to, the reality is they're going to be successful just because they're natural athletes. They're easily coachable. I like to look at James the Baker Hickey, Queen Aminata, Duke Beefhammer, people who, with all due respect, didn't have a hope, and we were able to turn them into wrestlers. So, whereas a lot of other schools like to go to their more successful people and like, hey, look what we did, not naming names or anything. I like to look at those people and go like, look, we were able to turn these people into wrestlers, and Queen Aminata is one of those people. I truly believe she would not be where she is if she went elsewhere. Either they would have given her the, hey, wrestling's not for you, or they would have probably pushed her out the door early and went, you're good enough for a girl.
Good point.
I've got to say, James, Queen Aminata, since we've been talking about her,
Who's our favorite?
yeah, I was thrilled to see her on the AEW dark matches, but I haven't been in this business quite as long as you guys have been. We're only talking a couple of years here, but she was the very first wrestler I ever announced for at a New Ohio wrestling show.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
And she got in his face.
She did.
It sounds right.
She kind of looked at me and snatched the microphone out of my hand.
Jim got scared because he didn't know what to do.
We haven't told her it's fake yet.
Nobody prepped me on all this. All of a sudden happening. He's like, okay, I'm just going to go with this.
Yeah.
But, and she was such a joy afterwards. She came up to me and said, thank you so much. I had a lot of fun. And that meant the world to me, being brand new at this. And then when she said that, so, you've got a great, great talent there. And I can't wait to see more things from her.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's good to hear.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, James.
I was just going to say, we kind of wanted to get into our news with what we was getting ready to talk about at the beginning before we kind of got.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, we're at that point. Yeah, so as everybody already knows on the podcast here, that I started New Ohio Wrestling in 2015. And just a little history that people probably don't know is before I even started the promotion, I had met with James and Chill and Sam and Cyrus, and we talked about maybe one day, us partnering up and doing, a big spot where we have a building and we have a training center and we do wrestling shows there and all that. And that's, like I said, this was 6 years ago, and it kind of just fell to the wayside, because they kept building their school and doing their thing. We, were focused on growing New Ohio. And then we did come back a couple years later, and we kind of, half-hearted put the toe in the water trying to find a building here in Columbus. And the fact of the matter is, it's just so damn expensive here in Columbus. It was hard to find a good building. So, James and them were just there. They were out in Newark. And we were basically just renting. We didn't have a building of our own. We were just renting buildings for our events. And, our business was ran out of our garage in our house. So, COVID hit, everything kind of shut down. Just as I had got our new ring and rehabbed it from the ground up and got Big Dirty back to life. And long story short, being home with COVID and Big Dirty tucked away in the garage, and me being me, Terry pretty much got sick of me, and she's like, you need to start looking for a building and get the ring out of my garage, number one. And number two, you get out of my house and start blowing off some energy because you're getting on my nerves. So that's kind of how it all started. So, we started looking for a spot. And then I reached out to Mark Koval and mentioned it to him, like, hey, if you hear anything, let me know. And just a couple weeks after that, he called me out of the blue and, hey, I got a spot, blah, blah, blah. Now we're at the Now Training Center. And so we started our own, we started doing our own thing because, truth be told, I've never owned a business before, a brick and mortar business. I've never owned a gym before. I had no idea how to run a gym or a training center. So I've been, focused solely on learning how to do this and get it all set up and done right. And then we started getting, and our initial idea was just for me to put the ring in a building to, just so I can get some exercise and work out and blow off some steam. And then some wrestlers that are around the local area, because I was hearing, the closest ring was 2-3 hours in some cases, and depending on which direction you live, and to get some practice in. So we just, the initial goal was just to get the ring up so people could use it. And then, we started talking about exercise and cardio, and then the idea of a cardio workout program came about. And long story short, the WrestleFit thing happened. And then now all of a sudden we're, a full out, training center. We have weight equipment, we have a wrestling ring, we have, a business, we have supplements, we have done for you meals. I mean, we have all this stuff that was not even in the cards at the start. So we started getting people reaching out to us wanting to have us train them. And I'm like, oh, hell, I ain't never trained nobody before. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I was like, I was talking, and I had to reach out to Superman Onyx or the fitness program, because obviously I'm not the fittest guy in the world. So I needed to find somebody that was an expert at fitness and nutrition. So I was like, well, I've never trained nobody. I was like, I'm sure I could stumble through it to start. And then, so, I got a couple people to help me. We started doing a little training. And then, and like I said, I never stopped staying in touch or keeping my eye on James and them guys. And then, just out of the blue, we kind of started talking at us. I think it was at our training center. You guys come over and reached out, and we just started, like, talking about the idea of possibly, you moving your camp from Newark to our training center and working together as a partnership. And we've had multiple meetings, because we both have our qualms and issues about, you guys have your beliefs, we have our beliefs. And you're straightforward, just like, I don't want to train cardio, just like, because you said you guys have limited time, you want to just focus strictly on wrestling, which that's great. I totally agree with that. And then we're kind of like, well, we got our fitness thing going, so you guys focus on wrestling, we can focus on fitness, we can bring in the best of both worlds. You have your system, it's already successful, and you, like you said, when you was talking, you can just plug it in and go. And then it just all kind of made sense. So we've, like I said, we've had multiple meetings, kind of hashed everything out. We're giving it a test run, and you guys have been at the Now Training Center for a couple weeks now, and we're starting to draw interest. We've got some new signups. We've got some people that's coming for tryouts as we speak today. We just got another tryout, so you guys might have two coming Sunday.
Okay.
People starting to reach out and take notice. And like I said, your guys' background is training wrestlers. My background's more kind of like marketing and business a little bit. And then we have our people that's that's good with fitness, doing the fitness part of it. So it's like a bunch of people coming together to try to create this training center, because my belief is, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. And even back when we had the Bob Evans seminar, which, we told this story with each other, but Bob was, doing a seminar at the training center, and he made a reference to, just playing like a heel gimmick, goofing around, and was like acting like a bad guy, saying all these, shitty Columbus wrestlers and, wrestlers, Ohio suck. And I like legit got heated about it, because deep down, I kind of knew it was true, and it was pissing me off, because, in Columbus, we've had a bad rap for many years of, not having good training, good education, good wrestling in the Central Ohio area. So, my goal, just as your guys' goal is I want to change that. There's no reason why we shouldn't have great wrestling promotions in Columbus and surrounding areas. There's no reason why we shouldn't have great training centers in Columbus surrounding areas. So that's what we're trying to put everything together into one package, and everybody work together to accomplish that goal. And for your guys' standpoint, what brought the interest on, and had you guys reach out and work this out with us?
Well, I think just kind of, like you said, we were talking at the Bob Evans seminar. I just kind of think that the stars just kind of aligned perfectly at that time. We've been approached by potential investors, wannabe business partners, promotions. We've been approached several times in the past, and obviously every time I've declined, because at the end of the day, I do not want anything about the training to be compromised. I'm a trainer first. My loyalty is to the students. And again, I'm doing this, not to get rich or anything. Just, I'm doing this because, training professional wrestlers is my passion. So again, I think we kind of both, I know what I lack. I've never been interested in selling the school. And like you said, you're kind of more into the business side. So I just kind of think that the stars just kind of aligned. And I believe, we brought something to the table that you didn't have, and you brought something to the table that, we didn't have. And, so far the trial run is great. So we're the Ohio Pro Wrestling Academy at the NOW Training Center. So right now we're training Sundays 11 to 3, and then Tuesdays 6 to 8. Although every Tuesday we normally run long anyway. So, but yeah, we're just kind of doing a test run, but things are going great. We got a good group of students. We got a couple naturals, couple what I would call projects. But again, at the end of the day, I like to say, we made Baker a wrestler. So. So yeah, everything's kind of coming together. I've always just, been the wrestling training, but, now, we got the wrestling, we got the fitness. My dream has always been kind of like the all-in-one, the one-stop shop pro wrestling performance center style.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
kind of always been my ultimate goal.
Yeah, I think there's been a desire to try to get to put the school in Columbus for a while. At different times throughout the school's length while it's been in Newark, all three of us have looked around Columbus at different points in time, trying to find, a facility that would be usable and not, cost an arm and a leg on top of it. And it's just sometimes we'd get a lead and we'd check on it and it would fall through, or it end up being way more expensive than what we were told. And so I think it's a good marriage in that respect, and because it's just being more centrally located in Columbus as opposed to Newark, and it's easier for people to understand where we're at as well. If you say we're in Columbus versus in Newark, because Newark's not a tiny town, but it's not well known for people that live outside of Central Ohio.
Right.
Yeah. Especially considering that a lot of our student base, a lot of our guys don't even come from Ohio. So
yeah.
that always makes things a little bit easier. So.
Yep. All right. I'm gonna throw this guy. We're live on the podcast. I'm gonna throw it at you, and you guys can shit on it if you want, because I know if you don't like it, you will. So, you ready for it?
Sure.
NOPWA, New Ohio Pro Wrestling Academy. James is like, now how can I put this nicely?
Should I literally take my pants down and shit on it?
We've been doing it 8 years. It's not exactly new. The trainers aren't exactly new. Maybe one day, but not today, or not tomorrow,
or next
maybe
week.
the next. Yeah, maybe next week.
That was funny.
I mean, I can't predict the future. Everything might even go, better than expected. But just one day at a time.
Yep.
Like I said, my main concern is the students. So, all I hope is all the students look forward to training on Sundays and Tuesdays. I hope they look forward to it as much as I look forward to going there on those days and teaching them.
Oh yeah. Like I say, I enjoy watching myself because, like I said, I've never had any training skills or anything like that. So, I go there myself. Like when you guys have your Wednesday class, or your Tuesday class, that's usually when I do like my strength training and stuff. So I'm usually there, and I just kind of hang out and watch. And I actually, like I said, I'm a big proponent of learning and education anyway. So I kind of just sit there and kind of watch and learn, and I'm finding it very fascinating and interesting myself, to be honest.
I try to keep it interesting. I got to keep these kids' attention with their TikToks and their MTV and their, 2-second attention span. But that does bring up an excellent point. We've always had an open door policy. Whether it's people wanting to get in the business, want to come for a tryout, or people who are in the business want to knock off some ring rust, or more experienced people who possibly come, maybe learn a thing or two. We've always had an open door policy. So just if you're near Columbus, and even if you're an experienced wrestler, come by, check us out. As Stu Hart would say, maybe you can teach me a thing or two. So
yeah, we've gotten some, really positive things out of doing that as well. We get guys that come in and, give a different perspective on things that we don't have, or, we get, got people that we consider end up being part of the family. Like, Spiritu Maya, who's hitting it hard right now. Like he's really ramping up to be something good, something special. And, his original training wasn't with us. He trained outside of Columbus, but then he moved to Columbus, and he was looking for somewhere to land where he could keep learning and keep growing, and get some different perspectives. And he came with us, and now he's wholeheartedly a part of the OPWA family, he's part of our motorcycle gang now. And I mean, just recently we had Lena Lennox. She relocated from the Philadelphia area back to Columbus because her parents are here. And she's joined us now within the last few weeks, and because she wanted somewhere. She's only been wrestling for, I think, a couple of years, and one of those was a COVID, or 3 years, and one of them was a COVID year, so that's basically a wash. So she's looking for somewhere to land where she could keep learning and growing as well. So it's really great to have these people come in and see what we're doing, and that it's working well. And even though they've trained elsewhere, they see the value in being around us and coming to the school.
Oh yeah, a good portion of our students started elsewhere. Either they were not happy with their initial training, or like in those two examples where they did have good training, they just want to expand. So yeah, we take in all experience levels. We don't discriminate.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're bad, then
I've watched Lena Lennox wrestle quite a bit for Cody Hawk's promotion, Future Great. I see her just about every weekend. She's got skills.
She has a lot of potential, but I don't, quite frankly, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. I don't think you've even seen a fraction of what I think she's capable of. I hope she sees what we see in her, and I just hope that everyone else will see that too. She has all the tools to be a star. It's just a matter of just kind of putting those pieces together.
Okay. All right.
Mhm. So see, Jim, the best is yet to come. You didn't even realize it, did you?
Well, I'm down here in Hamilton, so I'm usually there on Friday nights.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, you're at FGW every week, ain't you? Pretty much.
Yeah, we have a couple. Brandon Fields goes down there. I know Pat the Bruiser's down there every once in a while. So I know a couple of our guys make the trip every week.
It's funny because when Brandon comes out, my wife and I are the only ones who cheer for him, regardless of him being a heel.
Well, at least that's two people that cheer for him. We joke that Fields, he's actually another guy that came from elsewhere. He trained elsewhere originally and was not trained well, and then he came to us, and he's most definitely our best wrestler that has come out of our school. But we always joke that he's a little boring. He's a little boring.
He's a professional.
He's a professional.
He's just a professional. At least he leaned into that. So
yeah.
Yeah, well, every time we do the podcast, whether it be haunting or horror or whatever, or wrestling, we try to pull some gold nuggets out. And I know already what your first answer is going to be, so I'm going to ask for 2 answers from each of you. So the one thing I want to ask you is, what is your best piece of advice for somebody wanting to get into pro wrestling and start training?
Two things. One, try. I would say out of every 10 emails, maybe one follows up on it. The reality is, if you put it off a year, you're just going to wish you started this year. And if you put it off 2 years, you're just going to wish you started earlier. At one point in your life, the regrets enter your mind, and you don't want to go, well, what if I think you at least owe it to yourself to try. At least if you try, and it's not for you, it's not for you. I have all the respect in the world for everyone who comes through our class, and as long as they're an adult about it and just come to us and go like, look, I thought this was for me, it's not for me, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't think wrestling's for everyone. I'll bid you adieu on good terms. And the other piece of advice is kind of learn from my mistakes. Really, I never pushed myself as hard as I could because I was, unfortunately, I had that fear of failure. So I never really gave it 100%. But in my mind, I always justified it as, well, who cares if I don't make it? I never really gave it 100%. And now that I'm older, looking back, like, that's stupid. So, something for my students, something for anybody in wrestling, just don't half-ass. Put all of your ass into it. Don't be afraid to fail. If you truly give it your all and then don't make it, at the end of the day, you can look back and go, I did everything in my power to make it, and it just didn't work out my way. And that's way better than having regrets of, well, I could have pushed myself more. I could have been on the road more. I could have disciplined my body more. I could have done this. I could have done that. The regret is the worst thing. So I just want to tell everybody out there, whether you're in the wrestling business or not, don't make my mistakes and live with regret. Not that I regret my life. I'm proud of what I've done. I'm proud of what I'm doing now. But there's always a piece of me that goes, what if? I like to think I made it, pretty far on my own. What if I really committed? So I just want to tell everybody, like, don't be afraid of failure, especially with wrestling. Every professional wrestler has an expiration date on them. That's the reality of it. The time to start is now, not tomorrow, not the day after, not next year. We all have an expiration date. So again, if you're in pro wrestling or if you're considering getting into professional wrestling, I think you owe it to yourself. Just try it. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. If it ain't for you, it ain't for you. But who knows? You might get in and you might fall in love with it like I did.
Yep, that's a great point. Like I said, I tell people, every now and again that I like failing and I love to fail, and they think I'm weird, but failure is learning. When you fail, you grow.
Sucking is the first step to getting good.
Right.
I think, the common thing you usually hear in wrestling is mouth closed, ears open. But I disagree with that in a way. I think you should be listening, but you should be asking questions as well. I think that all kind of rolls up into one thing, and that's being coachable, which is probably the biggest way that you will be successful once you commit to professional wrestling. The people that we've had who have had the most success with us with their training are the ones that listen, the ones that ask questions when it's the open time. Like, sometimes we'll go, hey, what do you want to learn? And then they speak up and have a bunch of stuff that they want to learn. And then, that when we're teaching fundamentals or we're going through drills and things like that, they really listen to what we're saying. And it doesn't have to be repeated 100 times for them to catch on. But in the contrary to that is they ask questions when something doesn't make sense, even though they've listened. If it doesn't make sense, they ask questions. We've had people like like a Chase Winters. He was a super athlete. He got cleared the quickest of any of our students. But the thing that really helped him more than being a super athlete and being in great shape was that he was very coachable. He listened to what we said. He can be, if he was a super athlete but didn't really listen to us and thought he was hot shit and didn't need to really pay attention, he wouldn't have gotten, the go ahead in, just under 3 months, which he ended up doing because not only was he an athlete, he was a coachable athlete. So you can be a super athlete and not coachable, and you're not going to really do much, or you can be, a couch potato who is coachable, like a Duke Beefhammer, and then end up being, a professional wrestler.
Very cool. Yeah, the one answer I thought you were going to say that I was like, you both are going to say the same thing is when people ask you what your one advice for wanting to be a pro wrestler, and your answer would be don't.
No.
Yeah.
That probably would have been Cyrus's.
Yeah. Admittedly, part of our spiel is trying to talk people out of it, but we like to test the mental, kind of more than the physical. That's kind of part of the reason why we don't beat people up or do conditioning to death. We kind of test for the mental and see if they have the heart for wrestling. And if once we realize somebody actually has the heart for wrestling, then we can really learn. And if somebody doesn't have the heart for wrestling, or if somebody has a bad attitude, then they either get corrected or they wash out.
Yeah, the process works itself out. We don't even, not only do we not agree with it, but we don't even need, to beat people out of the business or, blow them up until they're puking and they don't want to come back, because the process works people out if it's not for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Most people who start with us don't make it, but
Right.
I think people come in and they're only familiar with WWE, and they think it's going to be easy. Well, yeah, because you're watching the top level. Of course they make it look easy. It's like watching the NBA. Of course they make it look easy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the reality is most people don't make it. But if you show up and try, I promise you will make it. Even if me and Tommy and Cyrus have to drag you kicking and screaming, as long as you have a decent attitude, you will be a professional wrestler.
Very cool.
All right, Donnie, you got to hit him with the question.
No, is it question time? All right, we're going to hit you guys with the question. I'm sure
I like questions.
Yeah. We asked everybody, every podcast. There's no right or wrong answer. And the question is, you are the main serial killer in your own horror film. What's your go-to kill?
What do you mean? Like how would you kill people?
Yeah. Yep. What would be your signature? What would be your finisher? I will put it that way. What's your serial killer finisher?
No,
Tommy Chill, do you have one? Admittedly, I don't watch a lot of horror movies.
Yeah. First, I'll use my melee weapon, which is a choke slam. And then when they're down, I'm going to do the Zeus neck snap.
There you go. Choke slam into the neck snap.
Yep.
There's another new one. Still haven't had a duplicate answer yet.
Nice.
So that's kind of a hard question, because I kind of boring. I don't watch a lot of horror movies. I play a lot of video games. I think if I was going to be a serial killer, and I know everybody's going to look at me weird, I think I'd be a cannibal.
There you go. Just
like not leave I wouldn't leave anything to waste. Like, if I'm going to be a serial killer, why not just go full creep? Like, I wouldn't be like a sex pest or anything like that, but like I think I could totally eat someone. Yeah, I'd be a cannibal.
There you go. Never heard that one either.
The first cannibal I think we've talked to.
You'll fry up the testes, have some Blue Mountain oysters.
Well, I mean, if you're eating a face at that point, like, you've gone too far. Like, you're going to get worried over some testicles. Like, come on, like, you're eating a dude or a woman. I'm sorry, a person. I apologize.
A person, yes.
It's 2021. We had a whole conversation Tuesday about what do we call schoolboys now? Like, are they schoolboys, school persons? I think we landed on it's now the student roll-up.
Mm-hmm.
Student roll-up.
It's a student roll-up. Yeah, I'd totally be a cannibal.
Now, so we got them thinking. If you
Yeah.
see you see anything in the news recently regarding a professional wrestler beating people, you know where to look.
It wasn't me, it was the bath salts.
Yeah, right.
Well, guys, it has been an intriguing conversation. Thanks for giving us a lot of background on the Pro Wrestling Academy, the Ohio Pro Wrestling Academy, excuse me, as well as your partnership with the Now Training Center. Again, once again, our guests, James the Stretcher Avery, Tommy Chill, along with myself, Meat Hook Jim, and Donnie Hoover. We are the WrestleHorror Podcast, and thanks for watching and listening.
Yeah, well, I'm going to cut you off there. We're not going to stop yet. Sorry about that. We got to let them give out their information.
I
Their
was about to say, I
social
got
media.
plugs.
Yeah.
Plugs.
Gotta
Got to
get
tell
their
people where to go if they want to train.
yeah, got to get their shit in, Jim.
Beauty of editing.
Ohio, OhioProWrestlingAcademy.com. Or Ohio Pro Wrestling Academy at gmail.com. Or you can reach me by phone, but I don't remember that number. So again, I'm going to refer you to OhioProWrestlingAcademy.com. Not only can you get information about the school, but you can also see some of our past and present alum that's been through. And I'm actually in the process of adding some more alum members probably by this weekend. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to try this again since I. Once again, Tommy Chill, James Avery, thanks for coming on WrestleHorror with us. Me and Donnie are going to just go do something, do some editing, whatnot. Thanks for watching.
We ain't editing nothing. We're leaving.
Nope, forget it. Too much work.
Leave it in.
All right, see you guys.
Thanks.
Goodbye.